Hi everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Guess who I have here? I have Dave Johnson, Moonride, and he's back to do a whole bunch of questions that you guys have put down there. So welcome back, David.
Thanks very much. Welcome to
So,
you too.
oh, thank you. So I hear you got a package.
I did get a package, right? And thanks so much. I got this package just before Airs Rock. It had some really awesome stuff in it. And thank you so much, Sheila. Not only did I get this package, but I actually brought it to Airs Rock. Many of the things kind of assisted me when I was there. And as I mentioned on your show, I had quite a real like Kundalini experience there. I should say, like just at the end, I had a real
Wow.
revelation. So thank you. I think you helped.
Well, I can definitely tell. It's like you can always tell when a spirit has shifted. It's almost like
Mm,
taking off some more rough edges. You know,
yeah,
it just
yeah,
smoother and more
mhm,
calmer and
exactly.
loving. Yeah, so that's
Yeah,
exactly what I kind of noticed with you as
yeah.
well.
That's a perfect way to describe it.
Yep. Now I hear
Mm.
that you got your first oracle cards. Uh-oh.
I did. I have not used them yet. I actually started out with tarot cards. I used the Toth deck in the beginning, and I didn't do. I didn't know I was going to be channeling. I had no idea about that until a few months before I started. But I did start with these tarot cards, and I found them really useful. And they really rescued me out of a couple of very difficult situations too. Since that time, I occasionally pull a card, but I have not used them as much. So I'm looking forward to open that one and seeing what I see.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I know that I'm channeling a little bit more as well, but at the end of some of my channels or the subject, I always pull a couple of tarot cards to see if it coincides with what I
Mm,
channeled. And it just kind of gives a little bit more depth and weight to the reading.
hmm.
So something you could do. But everybody's in here. I just wanted to give everybody a little bit of time. So what's new on your channel? What are you doing? What are you up to?
Well, I'm doing so many things. First of all, I'm like reading tons and tons and tons of books. I'll just show you. Like these are just this week. These are all Dolores Cannon books. Also Alba Weinman, who I'm a big fan of now. If you get the chance, check out Alba Weinman's videos. I found them incredibly interesting. I'm just finishing up my QHHT training. If you don't know
So
about that.
what does
Oh,
QHH mean?
it's quantitative healing technique. I forgot. I've left out an H, but something like that. Quantitative healing, and quantitative healing is essentially hypnosis. You put the client under hypnosis, and then they go through past lives. Sometimes there's some things in the present lives, and then you go after that life and say, "What's the message about that life?" The brilliant thing is that people will come in with medical ailments and they will find incredible relief. So I had a shoulder issue for many years of my life, and it's gone. Like one session gone. So it's a really brilliantly effective sort of process. Not to mention, you're the one getting the answers. It's just recorded, and you can see yourself going through these past lives. So it's really effective because you're telling your story. It's very much like getting just the regular person to channel, which is a really, really a very interesting topic for me.
Wow, that sounds
Mm.
so
Mm.
interesting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Fantastic.
Just take a look. You can watch her videos. You can look at Dolores Cannon's story. It's brilliant.
Well, I am a fan of readers and people, especially in our profession, I guess is what you would call it,
Hmm.
in our way of life, who always go forward, do something different, and keep fresh in everything and every what you're doing. And I hear that with you all the time that you don't stay where you're at. You always go
Hmm.
forward and do something different and gain some more energy,
Hmm.
gain some more knowledge. And I'm always a huge fan with readers that definitely do that. Keep on
Hmm.
going.
Hmm.
Speaking of books, we were just talking about this behind the scenes about life path
Yeah.
numbers. And Patty Blink, she's actually a subscriber, and
Hmm.
if my memory serves me right, I may have done a video or a reading for her, and these are barter gifts. But she wrote these. This is really fantastic about your birth numbers and more. You can definitely do a calculation. And she has done a wonderful, wonderful numerology book for children. I think that's incredibly important to start children off really early to see what they want, see what they're doing, and teach them about the spiritual realm, whether they want to do it when they get older or not, but at least they know. Because you know what? I didn't know. I was, from the get-go, I was in a religious body, and they literally batted away anything that I do today is just blasphemy. It's like devil's work to them. But, you know, so the people that are here, I always, as a grandmother, I give gifts like this to my grandchildren. In fact, I get tarot cards. I got like little kitty tarot cards for my
Really?
grandchildren. You know, so
Fun. How fun is
so
that?
definitely, yeah, definitely check these books out. I think you can get them on Amazon. You can just Google them. I always encourage supporting your subsisters in any endeavors that they do. So there's that. All right, so we now have given a little bit of time for everybody to kind of pop on, get in here, so that we can start the questions. We have you for about an hour and a half, so this is wonderful. So you're all prayed up, smoked up
Yeah,
with,
I'm ready.
sage and all of that.
I'll
So you're
stage
all
one more
ready.
time.
You're right. Yeah, we're going to go into some heavy stuff. I'm sure of it.
You can't have too much sage.
No, you cannot. This is true. Hi, Jackie. Jackie's here. My girl, Jackie is here with us. She goes, "Hey, Granny." She loves me.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't? So, all right, Sheila, was that Colorado flooding near you? I hope not. No, the Colorado flooding was in Denver. I didn't get any of the flooding. So, all right. We've been having some weather. We've had fires everywhere. We've had flooding everywhere. Have you watched Germany? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, just crazy, crazy.
Crazy. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so yeah, it's just, my heart goes out to everybody who is going through difficulties in the weather situation. We all know what that feels like. It sucks.
Yeah.
Whether it be fires or flooding or anything like that. So,
Mhm.
all right, Dave, are you ready?
I'm ready for questions.
All right. And thank you for being here. I really
Oh, my
appreciate
pleasure.
you joining me.
I'm
So
just gonna pull some energy in here.
there you go. Just get it all in there. And I have my little doggy right here.
Oh
She's
yeah,
yeah,
I can
she's
see
right
him.
there.
I think I also
Yep.
see a portrait of him behind you.
She does. Yes, that is her
Okay,
picture that a subscriber I I can't think of his name right now. I don't know why. That's horrible.
oh,
They're
well,
wonderful people. Anyway, he painted that of her. Yes, this is that painting. So
oh,
yeah.
how lucky is that?
Yep. So this is good. Okay. I think I'm ready now. Here we go. So President Biden is 78, and Kamala Harris is doing a fantastic job
Hmm.
at being a vice president. And they want to know, this has kind of been the question that's been always rising, is Biden going to run in 2024, or are they going to offer up Kamala Harris as the president or
Okay,
elect?
that's a really good question. And I'll tell you, I've avoided this question a lot because I kind of didn't really think we should know until now. But I'm getting a go ahead when I get a yes, spirit goes like this. So I think it's now time. I don't know why, but I just didn't really feel that it was appropriate before now to
Sure.
predict. I'm a little nervous about predicting anybody's death, but I certainly don't want to do that with Biden. But you're asking if he's going
No.
to run again. So we're just looking
Yes.
at that.
Yes.
Um, so one more time, Spirit, is it okay to ask this question? Well, yeah, kinda, yeah, okay. But so Spirit, will Biden run again? So I just see Biden going through a gate, like there's a wall between him and one other side, and I'm seeing him going through a gate. It's going through a gate. He's like almost like ringing a series of bells. So I think he actually is going to run again. I think he is going to run again because just it's almost like he goes to the other side of this, but he's still very present in this space, and then he's ringing the bells as if he's ringing a bell to announce his arrival. There may be problems with this. There may be some hesitations, perhaps. That's the kind of the feeling that I get. But so tell me, I'm just going to look at his face right now because I see him. So, Joe, are you going to run again? Yeah, I think he's actually going to run again. Yeah, I think he'll make it.
Yep, that's exactly what I feel too.
Oh,
Is that
good.
he's definitely going to run again, and it just feels like he and it's not until like he's 110 before he start loses his faculties. Is really what I feel. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think so too. So that's good. We have it says hi lovelies. Can you look and see if Scotland will have their independence from UK anytime in the future? Much appreciated.
Ah,
And
Scotland. Hmm. I'm getting a no. I'm kind of seeing a Scottish person, and they're kind of coming up to the border, and they're kind of like, yeah, meh. There isn't such a huge drive, I think, to do this. It doesn't seem that strong. I kind of just get the feeling too that Scotland has things going for it like oil, but to try to recreate a whole government at this point, it just seems a little bit like this person going at it just seems like a little bit it's not worth that kind of drama kind of feeling. um that's the feeling I get. So one more time, is Scotland going to stick around? I'm going to say yeah. I don't, and I'm getting for the next 10 years that it will not separate from Britain. I do see some, mixed feelings here, but I do think that they will stay.
okay. So what we have here is when will the virus be like done? Do you see any future? It's not like the virus is ever going to go away. That's not the question. The question is when will this world be,
Mhm.
be able to live life again?
Normally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, there's many layers to this answer, right? There's done, there's super done, there's kind of done, so keep in mind that sort of depends on, how done you mean. So let's just like look at it as between, I'll just like ask her relatively back to normal. When will be relatively back to normal? I'm actually getting a pretty long time. So spirit one more time. I'm getting 2.5 to 3 years. It will be longer than we think, but that's pretty much, practically speaking, totally done. Not inoculating people anymore. So keep in mind there may be, there'll be stages where it's, virtually done or something like that, but it will not be completely done before 2.5 years are finished. It's the numbers I get.
Yeah. I do kind of feel long term as well, but it's because history also has said, like the smallpox or like any of those other viruses that we've had in our past. I mean, we still give children the vaccination for
Mhm.
these things, 20, 30 years later.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
I think that and we'll still get a case of smallpox or whatever emerge, and it's probably due to a child or a parent that says, don't vaccinate my child, which is
Right.
their right. There's been a whole thing, don't vaccinate your children, do vaccinate
Mhm.
your children, don't vaccinate that goes on forever.
Mhm.
That
Sure.
usually is where it comes from. So I do
Mhm.
feel that too. Okay. So what is the truth behind why a McCarthy pulled Republicans from the January 6th What's his game? What's his game plan? Is why he played this game with Pelosi?
Right. Okay. We'll just go to the game. Well, I mean, I got to tell you right away, McCarthy's not as smart as Pelosi. That's the first message I get. He is not that. He's just not that skillful. So I just want to let you know, I think she outwitted him this time. And I think she's really done a brilliant sort of job doing that. Well, one thing that's good about this situation is that the Republicans really have an impossible situation before them. They can delay, they can obfuscate, they can sort of push everything behind, but they can't make January 6th go away. So everything they do is going to look bad. So he was just trying to damage control. How can we spin this and make it look like a Republican or a Democrat, witch hunt? How can we spin this? He's tried and tried, but it's just he's really fumbling it. Not like he has a great shot. They certainly couldn't go for the straight up bipartisan commission because that would have revealed the truth more quickly than the delay. So really, they're almost like delaying until another issue comes up to distract the American public or the world, but they have not. So that was his first plan. Okay, Mr. McCarthy, can you show me your other plan? Well, again, you just see him very, very defensive. His plans keep failing. He's very, very worried, especially about his own political future. He realizes that this is the next stage of a disaster. Again, there is no good option for them. Any commission is going to reveal the truth. And you can't, totally oppose this commission, although they are. But you can't, practically speaking, keep doing that. There are some Republicans who want answers here. Liz Cheney surprised him. He did not expect that she would go so strongly against him. So that was another sort of disaster, that they're no longer able to be one body. So he was still hoping to sabotage, he was trying to sabotage it by putting Jordan and other skeptics on there who would just gum up the works and make sure the subpoenas didn't come through and all that stuff. That was his game plan, and he thought Pelosi would wimp out again. The Democrats often are just kind of wimp out and go for the bipartisan centrist vote and all that stuff. This time, she outsmarted him, and she knew that he was going to do that because the game is pretty obvious. So he is extremely angry and frustrated because he knows nothing is working out. Now he's got a really bad, he can either bring nobody, and it's going to be his choice, like no Republicans showed up.
Oh, he's already pulled all three, honey. He's already pulled the rest.
I think that, I think only Liz Cheney's still there.
Yeah, right? Like, if you're not going to accept them all, then they're all leaving with me. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think there's still, I don't know if this is a final decision on his part, but
that brings me to, I think you're tapping into something, because as you're doing this, I keep on thinking, see if somebody else will break free and join Liz Cheney voluntarily.
That's
see if there's any. Yeah.
Is it Ratzinger, somebody like that? That name just popped into my mind. I don't really know who that is. He's not a super famous guy. That just popped into my mind as somebody who might volunteer. But and I think there's supposed to be 5. Are they going to get any people? Is anybody going to do it? Yeah, I think I'm not sure. I think he will stick his ground, and he will not put any other people there. But I kind of am getting that there is a person. I think that you're right. I think there is at least one person who might join Liz Cheney in this, and they might say I want to be on this committee. So let's just see. So I'll just like take a look at the committee. Is anybody sitting next to Liz? So, okay, just like looking at the empty seats next to Liz. How many empty seats are there? 3 or 4? You know what? I'm going to say this one isn't clear. I think there's a possibility that someone else will go work with her. I don't
Or
see
debating about it.
Yeah, I don't see. Yeah, they're thinking about it. I don't see a full house there. I think that some Republicans will not show up. Again, I think this is disaster for Republicans. They're going to call people like Jim Jordan as a witness, right? You can't be a judge and a witness. You can't do that.
It's going to be so fun.
It's going to be funny. Yeah, it's true. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, he tried. I don't know if you watched the press thing, but he tried to play the bleeding heart. These guys were, they served in the army, and this, that, and the other. And this is it's horrible. I'm like, oh, please,
give me a break.
Yeah, you gave her that power.
Yeah,
you guys had an opportunity to come together.
Yeah,
you downed that.
Right.
She also said any volunteers who would like to come to them, you threatened them all. And then all of a sudden, when you do pick who you wanted, and she says no to 2, but you still had 3 left, and you pulled them 2, this is your own fault.
Right.
You gave her the power to say no, and you can't. It's like you can't cause the problem and then complain about it too.
Nope, you can't. And I think finally this is the end of the political moving around of things. It's just they don't really have that much to go forward with.
I hope you could only hope that their base is getting more educated as they are fighting so hard for this for this investigation not to go on. You got to think, why is that?
Well, I also think those people in the center are starting to care more. I mean, if people choose delusion, they usually keep their delusions, right? They don't, unless it's absolute death, they don't give up their delusions. But
maybe Adam Kissinger, is it?
I think that's who it is. Yeah, I think that's who it is. I think you're right. Yeah. So, this is going to be very, I think,
interesting
to watch, because I do think I have a very strong feeling that the political winds have finally shifted.
Good. Yeah, I think so too. I think they're like, get over yourself. Let's get down to seriousness. And Liz Cheney brought that attitude today. Like, hey, this has nothing to do with politics. This has something to do with our democracy. This is she really, really bumped up that attitude. I'm not a fan of Liz Cheney. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just not. But in this moment, she's definitely stepping up to the plate in this moment. She will go back to being, the rotten Republican that she is. But we're gonna, we will give her this. I mean, she literally is stepping up to the plate and holding her truth, and I think that's remarkable, to be honest.
Yeah. Wow.
For entertainment purposes only. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No, I just want to agree with all that.
Yes. All right. So here, hi there. My question is, do you have to be religious or believe in Jesus to be a good psychic reader?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Look, I'm really interested in, the book I'm reading. This is Dolores Cannon, but she's, put people under hypnosis, and they're telling them the true story, and the true stories are coming from women who were there, and nobody mentions those women in the Bible because they just took them out. When you really look at the life of Christ, it doesn't have that much to do with the Bible that you're reading. You can kind of read between the lines. But I was raised with no religion whatsoever, and when these spiritual things started to happen in my life, first of all, my parents thought I was a little nutty, but I didn't have any religion for it. I was just like, okay, I'm starting to, these things are happening. I was very much anti-religion as young gay man. This was sort of what we were fighting. And I still had an
Yeah.
idea that there were some true Christian people, and I absolutely believe that to be true. But I became, from there, I studied many different philosophies. I went to shamanism for many years, which was much more about Native American and just earth religions and stuff. I was very, very critical of Christianity. One thing that did change me was the Peace Corps. When I got to Hungary, for many people who are very Catholic, Catholicism was a liberation from the Stalinist oppressors. So I was like, well, I'm starting to change my mind, and certainly I met some really true and good Christians along the way. I'm like,
Right.
I'm not. I would not say that I'm a Christian person per se, but I believe I'm going to hold up all religions and say this is the truth in my mind, that we have something to learn from each of these religions. It's not supposed to become our identity. And honestly, when I feel religious, when I feel the presence of Christ, and I have, it's not at all this sort of judgy thing. It's very much loving thing. I don't think that Jesus would care what religion you are, as far as I believe, but absolutely not. You could just believe in any religion. And some indigenous people have no idea who Christ was. That does not matter at all, in my opinion.
I completely agree. I think there has been words, stories, books that draw you to a power greater than ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just one of those. I think, if I'm to be honest, I don't think the name of anything is important. I think it is
Yeah.
the feeling that is important. I feel connected to the universe. You can call it God, Jesus, blah, blah, blah. I feel connected to another human being, and through love, you can consider that blah, 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 blah. And so I think that has a lot to do with it. But I don't think somebody has to literally believe in religion in order to be a reader. And I think
Mm.
vice versa. If you believe in religion, you still can be a reader.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Like I
Yeah.
100% agree with that. Yeah, I talked to a lady yesterday. It's a very interesting thing. You walk together with Christ. He's not like a superior being. If Christ is the superior being, and let's just like include Mary in that, we can also include the
Right.
feminine. That's as important, right? If those are superior beings, then you can never touch them, and there's no learning going on. If I look at the lives of great people, and I'm going to include, Martin Luther King and Stacey Abrams, if I look at all those people, I want to be more like them, and I want to see what they have done and learn from that and move forward. So it's not a.
Well, I agree. One of my favorite passages, when I was a young child going through my religious experience, one of my favorite passages that got me through a lot of that was that Jesus says, "You can do all that I have done and even better things."
Yes,
He
absolutely.
literally put himself with us. As in,
Yes.
I am human, you are human. You can do
Mhm,
all that I have done and even
mhm,
better
mhm,
things.
mhm.
And I thought that's the best thing I've ever come out of a religious book.
Well, and I just Christ was pretty angry. I mean, he came and he was like, I always wonder how this works for a Republican. He came and turned over all of the money lenders in front of the church. Everything he was saying was contradicting the existing church and the sort of
True.
Old Testament power brokers. He completely messed with all those guys. The last thing that I think he would want is for people to be this sort of blind follower of an establishment.
Right,
That's
right.
not what he did. He went and healed people with his hands, and fed the lepers, and he just did these things that people would not do.
I think
Really,
he was one of us.
yeah. I'm certainly
Yeah.
certainly more experienced than me, but
He may
yeah,
have had a few more tools than us, but oh,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay, so it says, I hear Trump found a back channel to Twitter by Seth Abram. Is this true?
Back channel, Seth Abrams.
Abram, I think there's no S up there.
No,
Abram, Seth Abram,
back
or
channel.
Abraham, maybe?
Okay.
Abraham?
Did Trump find a back channel? kind of, I got a kind of feeling it won't work out very well. I think even the guy who's kind of doing it is starting to realize this isn't really a winning plan. He's like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll do it, but it's just not a. Can you tell me more about this? Did Trump find a back channel? No. You know what Trump does? He shows me empty pockets. Okay. It's like he pulls out the pants and the pockets are empty. I really do think he's run out of options for the media.
Very good. Yeah, yeah. Will our democracy survive?
Ha, good question. I'm going to take my opinion out of here because I have strong opinions about that. But will our democracy survive? Okay. Again, I always get these pyramids. This is like the idea that the democracy is never finished. If we think about our United States, it's like created on the idea that more people got freedom, but also slavery. It's always been a contradiction, right? It always has. We had a civil war. I have family members on both sides of the Civil War. It's never done. Every conversation that we're having, it's really about this democracy building itself. And I just see the pyramid is not complete. So you would agree, women make less than men. We don't have a total democracy even now. It's not fair. I mean, women are really
we have problems. Yeah.
Yes, women are really stepping up politically now because they need to, because we're trying to form a democracy and or sort of reform one. This is almost, in some way, I really want to make this positive. This was a terrible crisis that we experienced, but it was part of our democracy. We were getting very much away from what our democracy is supposed to be about, in equality, and moving very much to a very undemocratic place. And I think the crisis has really inspired people to wake up. Again, I see almost like Nancy Pelosi picking up a stone and putting it on the pyramid. There are others who are just slowly remaking it. Think about democracy. It can be very frustrating because you do have to get a consensus of people. It is slow moving. Dictator moves very quickly. So I think that the ultimate test of our democracy, and I'm seeing January 6th, that was it, right? I think that was the battle, and we managed to stop it. We may not get the results of punishment that we want, but we managed to stop that, and a majority of people did prevail. So I think it's an important thing to note that we're making our democracy every day.
Yeah. And I agree with you where it's like that one step at a time, that one thing at a time. And I do see how the Democrats are slogging through the swamp right now,
Yeah.
but they are still going forward. And that's what that's what they're there for. So I think, yeah. All right. So what is happening with DACA?
Daca. It's great now because I'm seeing a house, right? It's almost like home. It's a house with 2 windows. Somebody's in the window. Okay, Sheila, I have to tell you, you're in the image. Okay, you're in the house, and you're like, come in, come in, come in. You're in the house.
All right.
Yeah, I can see you. And here come the people that are the Dacas, and you're inviting them in. Now, I want you to note that they're kind of in a long line, and they kind of come to you as you welcome them one by one. So I'm gonna add, so is she the representative of what's happened? Yeah, you're giving me a big old smile and a big old yes, we did it. It's gonna be a little bit tricky. I don't think it will happen before the next election. I think the gains have to be solidified in the next election. It has to be really clear The Democrats won, and they've got a winning strategy before they can do something as complex as DACA. It might be the next election, like the not the presidential, but the next Senate and House of Reps election in 2 years. I'm pretty sure that's it. So like maybe 6 months after the next election, the Democrats are going to have enough power and will to solve that problem.
Fantastic. Yeah, I did a remote on that, I don't know, day before, maybe Monday. And I also saw them in a line and they all had their papers and they were like taking steps to get it done. And they kind of come out on the other side going, yay, we made it. But it was a long process. So,
Yeah. And were they entering your house, Sheila?
well,
Get them on your vision?
well, not necessarily in my house. Maybe I represent that whole equality in my mind. So yeah. Thank you, Share Bear. Okay, so let's see. What exactly is happening? Will the U.S. be locked down again? This has to do with the virus.
Aha, yeah. Spirit, will U.S. be locked down again? Just I'm getting a lot of frustrations. There's something about mountains. Okay, now we're climbing up a mountain. Climbing up the mountain. Yeah, and we get partway up the mountain, and then we have to go back. We will lose some of the gains that we've made because some people will not be vaccinated. So, Spirit, will we get locked down again? In certain places, there will be lockdowns. So, especially in the Southwest, I'm getting lockdowns. Yeah. And I should say Southwest. Just see these kind of southwestern cities sort of getting blanketed over. So it won't be a total lockdown, but there will be some.
Yeah, the Delta variant is definitely taken its toll here for sure. Thank you, Debbie Prisky, Prusky. Anyways, thank you so much for the chat. I just saw a thing saying that Linda G is live, so I saw a tank and about 100 people went to go see, but they'll be back.
Okay.
They'll be back to finish it up.
That's live on here right now. Oh, okay.
Yeah. But they'll be back to watch, finish watching it later. But I just saw it go. I'm like, oh, Linda's got him. All right. So the next question is: will Eric Prince be arrested and prosecuted?
Maybe it's because I have a Prince tennis racket, but I'm actually seeing him playing tennis. The thing is that he's almost like stopped the game and he's looking and he's wondering and he's looking worried. A lot of machinations going on, lots of things just them changing, like almost kind of hiding him so he can't be extradited, working things out with his sister and money. There's lots of movement going on. Keep in mind, he is worried about this. So at least, psychologically, he is being affected by it. So is he going to go to jail? I'm going to say no, he's not going to go to jail. I think that he will get away with it. Is there anything that we need to know about this? Get away with it. There is a price that he will pay, which is his influence will be vastly diminished. There will be some pushback on him. I actually kind of see him living a lonely life. So the rest of his time, he is just no longer an important person. People have contempt for him, even where he is, because he's just a sort of useless political figure and a little bit of a, even I think he lives in Saudi Arabia, even a, almost a liability for them. It'll be a slow decline. So one more time, is he going to go to jail? He says, I see him, and he says no. So I don't think he will.
Dang.
Yeah,
I know he's one of those elusive little criminals.
Yes, he is. With a lot of money and power.
Yes. Okay. Are we going to experience long-term physical symptoms from the vaccine?
So will there be long-term symptoms from the vaccine? I'm getting this. To me, that means a tiny portion of the people will have some side effects. There will be some people who, for whom it causes nausea, but not. It doesn't feel like it's long-term. So
That's good.
I'm watching somebody getting the meds. Yeah, I'm going to say there's going to be very few side effects. I'm seeing people getting the jab, and they're just like, no big deal. Like really, almost like saying, I didn't even notice. Right? That's my feeling.
Right. Okay. So the next one is, can you please see where the South Africa is heading after this failed insurrection?
Yeah.
Will there be more attacks? Will the country turn around from this devastation? So a general on South Africa.
Okay. Yeah, such an interesting thing to look at because I really can see like a country that's very divided. It's almost like a lightning bolt goes through the country. Some portion of it like kind of remains permanently broken off. Somebody's attempting to sew it back together, and they will bring it back together. Again, this is just very much part of the process, something that the country needs to learn and the people need to learn. There can be a reattachment of the people who have broken off, but it will be time consuming and take a long time. Like, I would not say that they're going to be very successful with this until 10 years, maybe 15 years have passed. It will take a good deal of healing. So I think one good thing is that it appears that a new leader emerges. And this is looks like quite a kind of a petite, very small, which I don't expect in South Africa. Is this a man or a woman? It's like, again, it looks like a man, but he's quite small, and he's not all masculine like this. It's almost like it kind of looks unisex, but he's a very petite, very small, sort of, I would say, fairly light-skinned black man. And it's his job to reunite the country. And he's a very unusual figure. Again, I'm pretty sure this is a man, but it's an unusual figure who reties the country. And there's sort of like a greater understanding. This guy won't arrive for a few years, but if it is a man, the guy will not arrive for some little time. And I got to say, the gender is so ambiguous. I'm not positive it's a man. I feel like it could be a woman, or somebody is just a little bit gender ambiguous. They
Wow.
will take that country. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that country's a little messed up right now. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's hard to get into scattered information and kind of pull, it's like get up and out of there and see what's going on, because it's almost like all of the energy is up in the air and it hasn't
Yeah.
landed yet. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Hmm.
it's really hard to get that. So
Hmm.
there was another question. Let's move on. I forgot what it was. Okay, sorry. Let's see. The family of 600,000 people sue that orange thing and his family.
Yeah. I'm kind of wondering that
Have they
myself.
murdered? Yeah,
Yeah.
murdering their family members. Class action suits. Would that work?
That's a great question. I wonder this myself.
Yeah.
Can we sue the Republican Party and Fox
Can
News?
we sue Trump? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have to say right off that Fox News is nervous. Fox News actually they're changing their tone because they're starting to think that they'll get sued and that there will be some kind of sanctions against them. It's become pretty obvious that Fox News is becoming they are the source of this disinformation that's undermining the country. So they are
Yeah.
very, very worried, and they're talking about this a lot. Can they
Well,
be sued?
hang on a second before you kind of go into that, is because
Sure.
the next question is Fox and the Republicans changing their message about the vaccine. Why? What is up with that? So I think you can go
Okay.
ahead and head in. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll do Fox News first.
Okay.
I'm seeing them in a boardroom. They are considering this to be a very significant crisis. They're trying to work out the problem. They're calling a lot of corporate heads to see what they think. Yeah, I think Fox News will be facing some fairly serious changes. So, for example, I actually see it getting broken in half. It might get broken up, but even more so, it looks like it is not a success in the future. The father dies, Rupert Murdoch dies. So there are the two sons, and the two sons almost represent that division. They don't really have the same power as the father because times have changed. There are some Congress people who are going to bring back more rules governing, what you can and cannot say, what libel means. That will change. It's going to take a while, like maybe slowly over 15 years even. That's how long it's gonna have to be to just chip away at the beast. Um, but they're getting the message that they have to change, and it's difficult because you've got really, really right wing people who watch other media now, and then you've got Fox, and then you've got the future Fox. So they're really in a difficult spot trying to figure out how to move forward. As a matter of fact, they don't know how to move forward. So they're going to get what's going to happen for them. Mm. Again, this might take 25 years, but Congress will change the rules. They're feeling afraid of these changes. They're trying to figure out some kind of policy. They also realize that they're failing. None of the controversies that they've tried to make, like, it's all Dr. Fauci's fault, they're not really working, so people aren't really watching. So the fear factor is dying down a bit. So, Spirit, can we know more about this Fox News? What are they going to do? Again, total division. They're going to be divided. It might even be divided into two networks, but I think they're just literally divided in such a way that they do not know how to respond. They're worried about getting sued for things like COVID. They are definitely concerned about that. They're more worried about, other lawsuits that they've faced. Yeah, Fox News will not be the same in 10 years.
Well, that's good. They need to be dismantled.
Yes. Yeah. Do you want to go back to the other question? I kind of forget it.
Well, the other question was, will it be if we sued them, would it work?
If we sued them.
If we sued Trump or the organization or the Republicans or even Fox News, would suing these people work?
Can you do this? So could we prevail on a lawsuit spirit? Well, I get some kind of compensation. I get that some people will go to court and they will sue, but it seems like the sums are really minor, or they're almost like paid to go away or something like that. It's not like they sue and lose. It's more like they sue and the resources and situation is such that they just kind of pay a few people off to go away. It's very hard to fight a corporation like that. You've got to have a lot of money and energy behind you to do that. So people are approaching them and asking for money, but they're much more likely to just give it away than have a suit because of it. What about we as a collective body? I get that we would sue, and it's almost like a not win, not lose situation. You get something out of it, or they'll change their policy per se. But I don't get that it's like a big victory. So one more time, could we sue Fox? No, I do feel like individuals could be sued. So it seems like there are some people who are who lied about this, and they're going to get in trouble. But it's more individuals than the corporations, because it's just harder to defend the individuals, and the corporation's willing to give up a few people to save itself. So I feel like these are politicians themselves. I think that one thing that is driving what I see right now is you're starting to get Republicans say, go get your COVID shot, go do it, go do it. Some of them have figured out that they personally could be held liable for this. I think some people are going to be held liable personally. And at the very least, they will get in a lot of trouble, and they will, maybe lose in court or lose the right to be in office.
Well, some people kind of believe that maybe possibly the reason why they changed their tune is that they have been handed a lawsuit.
Mm-hmm. You mean Fox or?
Yeah, or like Sean Hannity and
Yeah.
things like that, the ones that have turned.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, they have if you have one lawsuit against one of the little demons, all the demons are going to realize that they need to change their tune. You see what I mean?
think these orders, they're listening to their boss. When they go out there and they say this stuff, that's not their opinion. That is what their sanctioned opinions are. They're getting this message from above. We're Fox News and we're not getting sued, so you need to tamp that down. These people
Right.
have no convictions. They just say what's going to make them money and what their boss tells them.
Well, they've already said in court, nothing we say you can believe, in
Yeah,
a
so
roundabout way.
sue me.
Yeah. All right. So are we gonna keep? Are the Democrats gonna keep the House of Representatives in 2022?
Tim's going to keep the House. Okay. So like watching the needle move. It's almost like a box, but there's a needle, so like right in the middle. I do see a movement of a few points. Yeah, I think the Dems are actually going to take a few seats. I think the Republicans are in for a surprise. They're going to lose a few seats in this. not 100, but 5. So they will be the losers in this next round, which will be very good for the Democrats. It will just signal a trend.
What about the Senate? Are we going to gain seats in the Senate to at least remove the 60%?
Let's see. Can get the Senate. So Congress and senators. Okay, so more red or more blue? This one's really close. I don't know if it will change very much. So Spirit, are we going to get 60 Democrats in the next Senate? This one is it's still undecided. I think this one is very much we don't know yet. I'm going to ask one more time. How about the Senate?
Sometimes that happens.
It's very inconclusive. Mm-hmm. And I'll also say, a lot of things today have been somewhat inconclusive. So I think we're at an inconclusive time. I think really we are in a time of energy shift. Everything's up in the air a bit. I'm just going to ask one more time. I really want to know more Dems in Congress, more Dems in the Senate. Is that possible? I'm getting we could get 1 or 2 more. Just a very thin number of people seem to go Democrat. 1 or 2 more Democrats, I would say.
Okay. We gotta get out there and do our jobs and get everybody voting. That's for sure. Okay, so what is the spiritual lesson that we need to learn in this country about segregation and minorities and racism?
Spirit, what's the message about racism?
What's the spiritual lesson that we've all needed to learn?
Well, again, this is very much a process. Racism kind of never ends. It's sort of never ending. It just changes and becomes more subtle and different. So I guess I would ask, what are we all learning from racism? Are we learning how to be more active? Are we learning how to listen to other people? Are we learning to, forget the race of the person and go to the point? That's it's very specifically American, this message, because we were founded on this contradiction of freedom and slavery. So it's very specific to America. So what's the message about this? Here's the message. There are things which divide us. I see an apple actually getting chopped in half. There are things that divide us. What reunites us? What makes it such that I don't agree with everything? I don't agree with Sheila about everything, but I'm willing to work with her on a bunch of things. If you notice, even the last election, we all had different goals for what we wanted, but we all put those goals aside for a bigger goal. And, we all come to the table with our own biases. And, then we go and we work with people and be like, hey, they're not like that. They don't meet this cultural stereotype. There's just a great deal of learning for all of us to move forward. And I do feel very positive about it, and that it is moving forward. The acceptance for some people has vastly increased, although some people have revealed their true dark sides. So another way to think of this is a lesson. Yeah, again, now that it's getting the apple again, it's like a person biting an apple. It's really important that we just engage with this idea of racism. We engage it, we see it at work, we call it out, we talk to others, we ask them, what's it like to be you, whoever that is, whatever their color. It's really, as we're engaging the question, just as you've asked it, we are engaging and we're asking and really moving forward and learning. One thing about division, it does create healing, right? We bring stuff back together. I really encourage everybody just to look at the last election as a positive thing. We weren't really allowed to celebrate. We weren't really allowed to go, yeah, he won, because it was just always a crisis even after he won. We were really robbed of that sort of reunification feeling because of what Trump did. But let's go back and take a look and see, how white and black people and brown people, Asian people, whatever, worked together to come up with this. How did they do that? How did Stacey Abrams, appeal to white centrists to get them to change their mind? How were white centrists moved enough that they're like, you know what? Maybe I am a little prejudiced. I need to look at myself and decide that. All of those people who engaged and did that, whoever they are, whatever they look like, all of them made a choice to go to an unpleasant place where we have to talk about some really unpleasant stuff and work together. I always like to think of, prejudice is terrible, but somebody reveals their racism, you know who your friends are. I don't want to be friends with that person. So it's very revelatory. And when I get together with a bunch of people who are, just who they are, and you can care about what race anybody is, there's a very beautiful feeling in that sort of equality and freedom. Whenever we think of racism, I hope we also think about those great people who are moving away from it and engaging it and talking about it, even when it's really could be very uncomfortable.
I agree. I think racism stems from ignorance.
Stems from what?
Ignorance.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the disease. Because once an intelligent person that has learned about everything about a body, about color, about everything that happens, it's extremely hard to be prejudiced after you've been educated about, life, evolution,
Right.
bodies, how melatonin works in the body, you know what I mean?
Right.
How
Yeah.
all of it. I mean, it's just very, very hard to be prejudiced once you have been educated, and I think that has a lot to do with it. Is one of our gifts is educating, and one of our failures is not educating everybody around us. When you have a small child who notices a brown or black or an Asian or a different type of human being, we have the absolute responsibility to teach that child what makes that person look the way they do, and also preach the equality just because of that. So the equality is that they are a living human being. That's what I always say to everybody. It's just a living human being.
Well, also we can think about it as, the people you talk to, right? And I could just give so many examples of, my mom had never had a one-on-one discussion with a black person until like 1957. And she went to college and just sitting next to this black lady next to her. And that was the first time she actually had a conversation. And so, she did not care, but it was something that she just never really experienced. I can remember, I'm 54, when I used to come out of the closet at 18, I'd get on the airplane, the person sitting next to you, and they'd like, oh, you have a girlfriend? I'm like, no, I'm gay. And they'd just be like, oh.
I know, and all of a sudden they freeze. What do I do? What do I do?
Well, you're on the plane, and the thing is, you've already made friends with that person. So they're not going to now go, oh, that would be really uncool. Now they know me. So now that when I come out, they feel a lot better about it, and they feel like, oh, well, I don't want to be prejudiced. I think the disadvantage if you have different colored skin is people are already making a presumption about you. They're already stopping the conversation. They're already nervous about what they're going to say beforehand, and it creates a real division. For most of the people, when I was in the Peace Corps and I came out to all my American people, none of those people, no one had ever come out to them before. And actually, that was a real plus. They were just like, wow, he just came out and said it. And they, again, had already become friends with me. So when I told them that, they weren't going to just change their mind.
Right. And I also want to just touch on this just a little bit longer about racism. I have always believed, our diversity and our, Black and brown community with, all of that, they're not going to fix white people's racism. White people are going to fix white people's racism.
Yes.
We have placed it on. It's like I've watched this explode, and I watched how this whole thing comes around. Like if the Black and brown community would just behave better, we wouldn't have these problems. And I thought, oh my gosh, we are literally making them blaming our racism on them, and it has. That's not their responsibility. That's a heavy load for them to start changing our minds. And so I think that's one thing as a white woman, I have literally made that decision. I was raised with racist parents. I have to be honest. Wow. They came home with jokes, this, that, and the other. I remember being a young child, and I have no idea why, but I said to myself, this does not feel right, and this is not right, and I will absolutely refuse to teach my children this way of life. And I refuse that, there were certain words that were not allowed in my home. I never taught racism. I taught equality. I taught diversity. I taught all of that stuff in my children. So my children didn't grow up with those prejudices, and they're just as shocked in this world that it exists, and because I kept them. I mean, I could only manage two little human beings, but can you imagine if more people take responsibility for those little human beings, teaching them and educating them? That's what I always said. I did not leave my children in the dark. I educated them about another human being. So, all right, off the preaching.
I do want to just confirm that by saying, my mom is a feminist, and she raised me and my brothers with total equality. We all cooked. We all had equal chores in the family. Yes. And she called us out, said, that's sexist, young man. She told us, I make less than your dad. That's not okay. She let us do that. So my brothers too are very equal, very egalitarian. So, and I've never heard of anything sexist out of anyone. So I just like to let women know you have more power than you think. You got to raise your voice, and girls, raise them to understand these things. That's an obligation along with race too. We do have the power to change that. And with girlfriends of mine, several times, they're like, no, Dave, that's not okay to say that because... And I'm a blind person. Okay.
Well, there's that educational variety, right?
Right.
I hope I have chosen friends to tell me the truth. That I didn't choose friends for you not to tell me the truth. Like, Sheila, that was inappropriate. Why? What happened?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I completely agree with that. And it is our responsibility. I refuse to have anybody tell me an off-color joke. I absolutely refuse. I'm like, you have no idea who you're talking to. That is inappropriate to tell me a joke like that. I mean, I will lose friends than to try to influence somebody over making sure that my boundaries and my belief systems are not passed or stepped over, because they automatically assume because you're a white woman you can tell them an off-color joke. I'm not kidding you. I think how many times I've had to say that's inappropriate. Don't tell me.
God, wow, that's shocking.
It is. It's like they automatically think that you're. I'm like, no, that's not it. Nope.
Not okay. Absolutely. Yeah, it is our responsibility to do that.
It really is. It really, truly is. If I could get everybody, to really push back on anybody that around you, family members or anybody, any coworkers or whatever, to push that back. I think that we can really make a huge difference. But okay, let's go on. That's a lot of preaching for the poor people. All right, so let's see. Let's see how much time we got. So let me kind of skip a few. We already talked about the variants, the Delta variants. Oh, here's one that's really good. Are there any upcoming significant celestial events that we should be watching out for?
Celestial events. That's a good open question. Let's see. Celestial events. Something's really going on right now. There's a real shift going on right now. And one thing that I've noticed, I never saw a UFO in my life. I didn't disagree with them, but I just never saw one. But in more recent times, during my channeling and meditation, I see them more and more. I see them, and more I have a feeling that they are really engaging us in this way. You don't have to see the UFO for that UFO to have influence upon us. More and more, I really just in a very current moment, people like you and I and our viewers are being called to step up, become more intuitive, step up. I think we're doing a lot of work at night, even with UFO type beings, more advanced beings, because I really can tell that something has shifted. The power has shifted. Intuitives are doing really great work right now, and this work will totally change the world. They are doing this in a very conscious way. I think that Spirit in general knows that we were in trouble, and also is working hard to sort of, for those people who choose it, it is influencing those people um, to be part of it. And again, I honestly think a lot of us are just doing work while we're sleeping. We're just sort of communicating to Spirit and organizing stuff, and floating around and helping people move towards the light, even while we sleep. And I mean everyone. And it doesn't matter who you are. I think that we are having this big event. Your question is specifically, will we see them? Or will we see this event? I don't know if that is true in a big way. So is there a celestial event? Yeah, I mean, I think the celestial event is really happening. I like to call this a divine feminine. I think that we are being influenced, and this influence is going to last 1,000 years. That this is the beginning. It's really rough. You change a new system, it's going to be a lot of, and of course, certain powers don't lose, so they're going to fight back. But this is really happening almost like in a subtle behind the scenes way. The work that we're doing right now is, not necessarily overtly political. You and I are totally free, right? Right. No one can burn us as a witch this time around. So we are moving ahead.
Yes. Yes, I think UFOs and the celestial and all of that keeps on coming into a lot of conversation that we're having recently, which is little. I just pay attention to it, and I don't really get a huge hit on it, but I just pay attention to it. So. Okay, so Charles Booker is challenging Rand Paul. Rand Paul for Senate. Will Booker win?
Okay, just get my opinion out of this, because I'd really like for a certain person to win. Okay.
Yes, yes. Rand Paul, I don't think will lose. Booker's going to give him a run for his money, though. So Booker's going to put him a little bit on notice. But I keep seeing Rand Paul, and it's almost like his fingers are in so many pots of money and control and power. It's almost no way to dislodge him. The people where he lives in Kentucky are they're just going to vote for him no matter what. They're going to vote for him. So yeah, ask one more time.
Yeah, Booker looks a bit disappointed, but not totally disappointed. I think Booker does better than expected against Rand Paul, but Rand Paul feels very much like an entrenched power. Are you going to leave? No, he's not going to leave. Sorry, that wasn't the answer I wanted, but
I know. I also get some of those. I think the entrenched is cheating. I mean,
yeah,
you know.
it is cheating. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's not
McConnell,
gonna,
he won
yeah.
in 8 minutes. I mean, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're just about to this is energy shift. Okay, the energy is shifting. It felt like COVID sat down and reevaluated our contribution to the greater good of all living things. Do you think the lack of human empathy has caused the disease to continue to fester?
Yeah, let's take a look at lack of empathy. It's very fractured. So you can definitely say empathy because the society became very fractured. I was thinking the other day, I'm trying to do something on my computer and I'm trying to move the music onto, Google storage or something. And, I'm no spring chicken and I'm just getting so frustrated. I finally said, oh, to hell with it. I just literally deleted all of the music that I've collected over 20 years. I'm so mad that I just totally deleted this. And like, that's like every Trump supporter, they're like this technological world where you have to say, hi to the nerd. Can you please help me? They don't like feeling that powerless. I don't like feeling that powerless either. This is like part of the total frustration. It's like they can't just go fix the car. They have to go and get somebody who's younger and more liberal to help them. And it's
True.
making them angry. So there's definitely this sort of fracturing that's going on. I think some of the fracturing is good because I think we needed a good fracture to shake us up a little bit. But do we think that the whole mask wearing thing is just giving us a choice. Are you going to care about your neighbor or not? Right? And are you going to believe the science or not? And it gave us all a choice. We are human beings and we are our choices. So I think that really did come up for some people to show up and say, yeah, this is love. This is what needs to happen. So I think this question is a very good one in the sense of, yeah, we did not know who was true and not. I mean, you can talk all you want, but now every day we make these kinds of decisions. Something needed to happen. COVID was not an accident. I very much see that COVID was a planned event, and I mean via spirit. I think that it showed up to shake things up, and as one of the channels that I did before sort of showed, it was there to shake us up and actually sort of remove some people from the population. This sounds very cruel, but I think that some body of people were ready to move on to the other lives. And I think that the division had to be very clear for us to move forward.
I agree. Everything happens exactly the way it's supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
I 100% believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Everything happens exactly the way it's supposed to. It doesn't mean that I agree with everything that is happening.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my favorite saying. So we have two more questions left. One is just do a general on Trump and his his legal troubles. How
Uh,
just dip in and see what you can see about Trump.
um, I swear I always see him going to prison. And I mean, nobody believes this. Nobody thinks this is going to go to prison. I mean, I don't know about you. I just mean practically speaking, I'll never go to
Right.
prison. And I always see him in prison. The minute I see him, there's these doors of prison. Look, his daughter's in trouble. She could go to jail. His sons are in trouble. They could go to jail. They're going to pressure his kids. And I mean, it's kind of like, hey, Jared, it's you or dad. What are you going to do? What do you want to do? So Trump is going to be faced with the possibility of his kids testifying against him. And I kind of think that they will. How long is Trump Jr. going to last in prison? I mean, he will not do well there. So I think that there is really, really much more serious stuff awaiting Trump than just legal lawsuits. I think there is a real I get very much destruction. It's Trump. So what happens to Trump? Well, again, this is another thing that I always get is his attempt to escape. I still see him, and I still think it's a possibility, trying to escape, trying to get on a plane and leave. Keep in mind this guy is, Trump is doing basically legal speed, which makes you really paranoid. And I think that is making him paranoid. I mean, he should be in trouble, and he is, but I think he's getting, I think he's always secretly harbored a concern that they will eventually catch him. So this will make things very, very bad for him. And I just see like a real crumbling, a real crash as things start to change. And, COVID's resurged. Now they're going to have to deal with the resurgence. So what else happens to Trump and his gang? And one important thing is that Trump has brought forward a lot of the dark things that already existed in America. I mean, was George Bush really any better? He just killed 1 million Iraqis, so was he any better? No, he just killed a population of people that's further away. He wasn't vulgar. He wasn't a vulgarian. He wasn't always in your face all the time. Trump actually showed up and showed like, here, you really do have these two choices. America or, this totalitarian government. You have these two choices. So in a way, he's exposing a lot of Republicans, a lot of people who are on the right who kissed up to him, and they are also going to face their consequences. Trump is dividing the party right now. He is doing more for the Democrats than the Democrats could ever do for themselves, because he's making things worse and worse and worse because he's so selfish. He didn't care about the Republicans, didn't care about anybody. He cares about himself. And as he moves towards those selfish goals, he'll cause a lot of people to fall. Anything else about Trump? Yeah, don't be surprised if he gets in a plane and tries to go. I'm always
we thought maybe he would pull an Epstein.
Yeah. Oh, really? And take himself out? Yeah. Gosh, would Trump pull an Epstein? Trump would never do that. You know why? Because he's a coward, right?
He's selfish and self-centered. Yep.
No, narcissists don't commit suicide.
They don't. Narcissists absolutely do not commit suicide. No. That's why I never believed about Epstein, but that's a whole nother story.
Right.
So the last one is, do you have any messages, any deep emotional or whatever messages from spirit for everyone to end it all on a high good note?
Your people ask such great questions, Sheila. Just every single time. Like, oh, I'm just glad you asked me that. Things break apart so that we can put them back together in a better way. So don't despair. This really was supposed to happen. All of it, every bit of it. Think about yourself and how you personally have changed. It's not about the political important people and blah, 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 blah. That's a very small fraction of our society. It's about you. It's about how you changed and about how you evolved and about how you've made new friends. And maybe you've lost some friends, but that might have been an important decision for you to make. So take heart, because it really is. It's like I see a heart divided, but it's coming back together again. And that's really the most important messages. I think most of the damage has been done. The real horror story that were the Trump years, it really has ended. We've been robbed of the happiness that we should have had knowing that we stopped that guy, because there's still problems lingering from him. But the real danger, it's like we hit a peak and now we're on the other side. So the real question here is, how could this be good for you? For every individual, how could it be good for you? How could you take a terrible situation, a racist society, people have done awful things and really basically murdered one another, and how could you get what's good out of it for you on a spiritual basis, but also just practically speaking? Can you take this and take the lemons and make some really awesome lemonade out of it? You really can, and actually most people watching already have. They already have made the best of a really bad situation. Forget the politicians. It's about you and your courage just to say no to people, to try to educate people, your courage to go and make a new community other than the one that, might have been kind of easy before. All of us are made of these choices. And you can be proud of yourself, even if you made some mistakes, just for the effort to move forward and do the right thing. And the whole thing has inspired everybody's heart. It's caused your heart to be activated. And that's what Spirit really wanted, is for your heart to become activated and concerned and go, well, wait a minute. I don't want to live like that. I don't want to be that kind of person. It activated a lot of people who, maybe could have had an easy life otherwise. And that's a real growth and movement. And you really got to give yourself a hand. Whatever it is, however hard it was, who cares how much money you have, give yourself a hand for being there and being present and being engaged. That's what's really going on here, is that all of us are learning. And the learning sometimes is extremely painful, but we are learning. And the pain sometimes does bring us the most learning. We don't need to seek it out. But now that we're here, I would just encourage everybody to say, what have I learned from the past 4 years? We want to take this and own it. Take it and make it a ladder for us to move forward, because that's also what's really going on, is that people are moving forward, they're climbing a ladder, they're learning more about one another because of the contrast.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it has definitely brought forth a lot of great and one. I mean, it's like that yin and yang, that horribleness over here, but it has awoken so many people on the other side, so I totally get that.
Yeah.
But thank you, Dave.
And thank you again for your gift. It was really useful.
Do you have your cards with you right now?
I do, but I have to dig through a few drawers to get them.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
I was gonna say we could pull a last card for the people, but that's okay. We can do that next time.
Okay, I look forward to that. Thanks so much, Peter.
Yep. All right, guys. Okay, everybody, thank you so much in the chat. Thank you for all of the donations. And it's like everybody kind of tanked and went over to see what Linda G was doing, and now they all kind of fluttered back. And it's the tarot community. That's how it goes. But everybody can always watch the rewind or the rewatch or whatever it's called. So, all right.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thank you. Smile.